Let's take a look at the chart action for Chainlink. Okay, so we have resistance, resistance, support, support. Let's draw some trend lines. We have the top one right here and the bottom one right over here. So in general, what I'm looking at is that we're bouncing in between these two trend lines. We don't know if we're going to break to the upside or the downside, but I mean, in general, I'm kind of thinking we're going to go to the upside. What I'm thinking is dragging from the top to the bottom of that triangle, drag that to the upside, and I'm looking at a target of around 51.87, which is the previous high over here. So I think the other thing though is we have to keep in mind maybe it will break to the downside. We don't know yet. If it does break to the downside, the targets that I would be looking at are the previous support zone. So it looks like there's a nice little chunk of support at 24.71, and then this bottom is at 21.52. There's also this bottom over here at 13.85. So what I'm thinking is dragging this trend line going to the upside, and let's see how far we could ride this uptrend going up before we break down. If it breaks this trend line going to the downside right here, that would be a signal for me to maybe take some profits and maybe try to buy back in these areas, in my opinion. So like I said, maybe 21 or maybe around 22.74 or maybe like 14.46, something around there. I would say maybe just put it a little bit above those levels, like above those complete bottoms, so you can get your limit order filled. That's kind of how I go about it, because sometimes it doesn't come all the way down, or it won't come all the way down. It'll come like right close to it, and then it'll get a bounce up or something like that. So you want to sometimes not get too greedy and put it a little bit above these support lines. Like I said, though, I've been dollar cost averaging in general, and I'm hoping that we break to the upside, but I'm not guaranteeing it or anything like that. I think the other thing we can do, if you just want to stay out of it, or if you want to wait, you can wait till it breaks this trend line, put in an order, like a market order right here, and then try to ride it, the momentum going to the upside. Sometimes I try to do that as well. I think that's what I was actually doing right when I put in those orders. I was looking at, if we go to the weekly time frame and delete everything, I was looking at this other triangle pattern. We had resistance and resistance, and then we have support and support. It looked like we were breaking out in this area right here, and so I started putting in some orders, and it doesn't look like we're getting like a huge bounce out of this triangle, but what I do like is this 9 moving average right here. We're still above that. It does look like we're testing it to the downside a little bit, but I do like that we're getting support on it and that we are above it. I would like to see it kind of curl to the upside more than it is curling to the downside though. In general, I do like that we're above it, and I do like that we broke this trend going to the upside. But like I said, daily time frame, we got this top trend that we're really focusing on. I think that's the main thing, and I guess the bottom one too, you can say. This is the daily time frame. If we want to go into a smaller time frame and see what's going on in that, it looks like we have an uptrend with this support right here and this support, something like that. Let's do a trend line going to the upside. In general, it looks like we're getting close to testing this support line. You can also argue that we have resistance and resistance. Let's do a downtrend right here. This is the 4-hour time frame, and we have a little triangle pattern waiting for a breakout to the upside or the downside of this one as well. For me, I would target maybe like right here, because it has contact right here and contact right here, contact right here, and then plus it's pretty conservative, so you're getting a smaller target instead of trying to target this back end right here. These actually, there is contact right here and contact right here, but like I said, I'd rather just be a little more conservative about it and kind of target the middle of the triangle. That's just the way I do it. And if we drag to the breakout, maybe we break out at this corner right here. Maybe we come up and hit that 35. Maybe it lines up similar with that resistance zone right there. So we could be looking at around 35.50 if we break out to the upside in the short term. And then if we break to the downside, again, we'd be looking at the previous support at around 28.92 and possibly this trend line, depending on where it meets it. But yeah, in general, what I'm looking at is the daily time frame. I'm really watching this bigger triangle to see how this plays out more than anything. If we jump over the Chainlink to Bitcoin chart, here's what I'm looking at. we had, in my last video, we were watching a couple downtrends. We broke the first one that was right here. We broke that going to the upside. And then I was watching this resistance right here and this resistance. And if we zoom in, we can see a little bit better. We broke this downtrend going to the upside right here. Whenever this chart starts moving up, that's good for Chainlink compared to Bitcoin, or Chainlink is doing better than Bitcoin. Right now, we also have support right here and support right here. Let's go ahead and delete this trend line since we broke it. And let's put in that support line right here. It looks like we might be breaking it to the downside right now. So in general, what I'm doing is watching this trend line, this downtrend. If we could break that going to the upside, then that's going to be way more bullish for Chainlink. Like I said, we have this support. It kind of looks like we're breaking to the downside right now. We're not getting a big candle yet, but it kind of looks like that. So yeah, I'm not sure. In general, if this chart is moving down, that's good for Bitcoin, or you're going to want to be looking at Bitcoin. And if this chart starts moving up, then it's good for Chainlink, and you're going to want to start looking for Chainlink. In general, though, it's been trending down for a while now. So, I mean, you could probably even argue that you could drag this all the way out, maybe even out to this over here. So, I mean, this looks pretty interesting as far as this big, huge downtrend. I think if we could break out of that, then that'll be good. Also, check it out. This is like the bottom right here. We have a bottom, like it just is getting a lot of support in this area right here. So, I mean, it's possible that we're on an even bigger triangle and we're waiting to break out right here, going to the upside. I think if we did break to the upside, maybe we could target this previous top over here, or maybe even the previous top over here. I mean, we have to wait and see. And just saying that, I mean, I like Bitcoin more than Chainlink, but that's kind of what I would think on the chart. I mean, I would probably target the resistance and then this resistance. I would probably target this one more than this one, but I mean, if we do a bottom trend line right here and then drag from maybe the top to the bottom over here, maybe I would target something like that, not get greedy. I mean, we could maybe even do something over here and still be slightly, I mean, I don't know. I still want to see, I think in general, if we could break that downtrend, then that'll be good for Chainlink. I mean, we could be looking at something like that. If we break this downtrend going to the downside though, then we're going to see like another bearish trend for a while and try to, I mean, we might even be looking at all these previous bottoms. That's what I would be looking at if we broke that to the downside. And like I said, this is compared to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin just started running all hardcore, then this chart would go down. And if Litecoin starts running hardcore, then this chart will go up. But I think if we broke this trend line going to the upside, some of the Bitcoin money might come into Chainlink, or that's how that would kind of be working. So going back to Chainlink, we have this big triangle right here, and I'm basically waiting for a breakout to the upside or downside. These horizontal yellow lines are my positions, so I'm basically thinking it's going to go to the upside, but I'm not sure. And also, like I said, I would be looking at right here, maybe a limit order. That's what this orange line is for, at around 23.25. That's what I would be going for. And then if we get this and keep heading down, I would look for previous support over here at around maybe 15.42 or 15.20, something like that. All right, let me know what you guys think. If you guys like Chainlink, hit that thumbs up button.